Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Bear with me one moment. I'm still sending out the invites to the other co-hosts. Let's see. All right, so this week has been quite interesting. Where do we want to start? Um, let's start with checking the audio. Check, check, one, two. All right, there we go. It's working on YouTube's end, and the chat is working too. Bennett says, I don't think they're planning to cancel X and X soon. I think they're freeing up space in Fremont, reducing shipping complexities, and slightly boosting sales. That could be onto something there. And Lee can hear us, and Lee says afternoon. Afternoon to you too as well. All right, so let's start with home. Okay, so this week I've had quite an adventure with heat pumps. Or half a heat pump in this first case. The air conditioner on my house decided it was going to just disconnect, and also it was low on coolant on free. Sorry, no, not freon, but on refrigerant. So called the HVAC guy out, and he recharged it and says that it's done. It's 10 years old. Oh, sorry, 11 years old. It's older than the house. It's done, and it's time for a new one. And the recharge, who knows how long it'll last. That was fun. And I was already thinking about a heat pump anyway, but I was thinking let's do it on my terms and not just because something broke. And he gave me a quite substantial quote. I want to say it was like nearly 12 grand. And he said it was going to be the same if I went electric or replaced the gas system that's already in there, because this is a natural gas neighborhood. Whatever the heck that means. I think it means that the dealer had a relationship with the builder. Um, but then you've got two considerations that come with going with the heat pump, besides what this whole channel is about, but also you get a federal tax incentive. I don't know if it's a credit or a rebate, because I was looking at it, but I wasn't really looking into it. And then it turns out that my utility also offers a convert to heat pump incentive, so that should make it sting a little less when the time comes. You just waving hi? No, baby's just saying hi. But before that happened, the Model X, we were just driving to the grocery store, and it said coolant low. It said this after I put in a mobile service repair for there's a metal box around the latches on the Falcon doors, and I want to say about 4 months ago we found like just a random shard of metal when we opened up the doors, blink onto the ground. Like, where the heck did this come from? So we kind of stuck it in the car, and then on the way to the grocery store, told the Falcon door to close, and it kept saying it was open, even though it wasn't, because it wasn't latched. And so I looked in the latch and saw that there was another piece of metal just kind of hanging in there, and looked up at the latch, and oh, it's the surround to the latch. Okay, so scheduled that, and then I said, well, while they're out here, might as well do that CCS conversion that they were talking about, that they said they'd call me back for, and I know that Tesla's terrible at paperwork, so let me just try and put that in there and see what happens. So I put that in there, and it still stayed mobile. And then as we start driving to the grocery store, I get a message on the display, the center, or not center, the front display. It said coolant low, and to me, coolant is a low pressure system like antifreeze, like that orange stuff in my Volt. I don't know what color it is on the Tesla. I think it's a brown. Uh, it might be a blue, or it could also be orange. It's been a while since I've seen it underneath the front of my car without the front tub removed. But anyway, I'm thinking a low pressure coolant like that, like an antifreeze, and they dial in, they do a remote diagnostic, and they say, yeah, it's not coolant, it's refrigerant. We've converted your your mobile repair at your home to a in the service center repair. And so this will be my first time at this particular service center. I've done the service centers in Virginia plenty. I've done Charlotte a number of times, but Charlotte's actually further away than this other one. So this week I'll be driving to Georgia. Yes, Georgia, because South Carolina and the Good Old Boys Network won't allow Tesla to have a repair center or a storage. So what they did was they put one just across the border in Savannah, and that will be where I'll be going this week. And hopefully it's simple. But man, the estimate was stout, very stout. But it was still including the CCS conversion from Tesla only. And then I said, well, while it's there, might as well throw an alignment on there because I still haven't gotten a realignment done after we put the new tires on after it ate up the old tires. And so that's going to make it even more stout. And we'll see how it goes. They didn't say anything about Uber credits. They didn't say anything about a loaner. Not that Uber credits will get me back a whole state and then back to get the car. So maybe they understand this, and the folks in the Charleston Metro just get loaners. But I'm not counting on it. Hopefully, it's just a one-day thing. And we can just sit there in the waiting area. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Georgia. I was not looking forward to that sort of journey right now. All right, so let's go here. I've got some articles and not anywhere near as many as I should. Let's do a share screen. Oh, and today's picture for the thumbnail for the show is me and Motoko on our family trip to Cape Cod to go visit my family, and put a hat on her, and she was still very young. What was it? It was May. She was born in April, so she was just over a month old, and so obviously an adult size hat didn't fit her, and it was very cute. And now she doesn't let you put anything on her head, even her little kitty headphones. She doesn't like anything on her head. So that was the end of that. No, I don't want to share an entire screen or a window. I want the article. Title what? It's not exactly new to us. We've discussed this installation before. So let's see. Did we move it? No, I need to move it. Sorry about that. There we go. Moving the face. What are you doing, baby? Why are you pushing a ladder? What are you doing with that ladder? You're only one. You don't need a ladder. No, it's not safe. Yeah. Moto is pushing a 8-foot ladder across the living room. Deployed. Yeah, whoa. Come here. All right, walk away. Anyway, good evening, Anders. Good to see you. All right, so like I said, we've discussed this particular installation before, but they made the news again, so I'm not sure if something has changed. So let's take a look and see why they're in the news again before we get back to our regularly scheduled articles. I saw this when I opened my browser, so that's the only reason I haven't seen anything about it besides the picture. All right, batteries from Hondas and Nissans. Part of an effort by BTU Storage in Lancaster. Depends on the regional what they want to pronounce it like. And there's literally nothing new in this article. Oh well, it's still going on then. Let me check something real quick. It got really hot here all of a sudden. Because the AC was so old, the tech wouldn't put any sort of guarantee on performance. He said it could be overnight. It could be 8 months. Okay, so it is 73 inside right now. Not in this office. This office is 80. But there's a lot of electronics going on here. We're pulling about 400 watts right now. And I've got lights on me. That was one other thing that they said they could do. They put in a small return in this room to equalize the flow, and then also kind of suck out all the hot air, which would be nice. Yeah, minimal cost in addition to the new system, which is good. Take a minute to save up for and purchase. All right, so now let's. Where did my articles go? Some folks are like, "Why don't you just open a window?" Well, if you open the window, it's 90 degrees and 80% humidity. That's why. Oh, you can't do anything with that. In fact, what is it out here today, in the middle of early spring? 84 and cloudy with 42% chance of rain. So where is my live streams document? Don't need a shopping list. There we go. Ooh, that is only 3 articles. There we go. It did a resync as I was looking for the sync button. All right, so that was the other thing that I had started with, the Tesla lithium groundbreaking. That one, the one in Texas, because apparently there were 2 Tesla lithiums that opened up this week. We had the Tesla Lithium Labs in somewhere in California, and that's an R&D facility for working with lithium. And then there was the groundbreaking at the Texas facility, which is a Tesla lithium refinery. Elon again pointed out that we're not short on lithium. What we're short on is refining capacity for battery grade lithium. And yes, exactly, Lee. I am sorry. I meant to open with Happy Mother's Day, but the computer was fighting me getting the show started, so I got distracted. But yes, Happy Mother's Day to all of you out there that are mothers. And whenever Gig is in earshot, I'll let her know that you said Happy Mother's Day as well. Yeah, so he pointed out that we're not short on lithium material, but we're short on output of battery grade lithium because the lack of refineries, and or not lack, but because we need more than the refineries today are doing. And so they had a groundbreaking event, which was, I thought, was pretty lame. Personally, you had a whole bunch of politicians, a lot of boring speeches, and then they were shoveling sand that looked like it had already been processed with cyber shovels. Meanwhile, there was heavy equipment in the back already doing its thing, which means they didn't really break the ground that day, did it? Because if the machines were doing their thing, then the machines broke the ground. But that's just a technicality. We know Elon loves a party, even if it isn't a heck? Oh, the microphone is amplifying the noise from the armrest of this chair. um, Even if it's not a like a launch party, just an excuse to get a bunch of people together. So what I found most interesting about all of that was that the one of the Cybertruck samples was there, and it had a new roof rack situation going on. Let's just go peek at their video. It's like half an hour of just politicians. Videos. No, it was live, so I had to go to live tab. Yeah, it was live. Oh, that's new. I haven't seen that yet. Make it back Puerto Rico. I also didn't see this one. I'll watch them later. But right now, let's go to their live. So Tesla Lithium groundbreaking, and there's their logo there. Tesla Lithium is kind of in the Tesla style. I knew they were going to do that. Oh, I didn't see the intro there. There's the Cybertruck rolling in. Hang on, my computer's decided it doesn't want to play in 4K. Probably because I have a million tabs open. Come on. 144p. What is this? There we go. So the Cybertruck sample with I don't know how I want to describe that without offending people, but I see it a lot here from a certain group of people with their pickup trucks, and they just love to put flags on it. And I guess it helps them fit in over in Texas. And the flags were at half staff for a shooting and a memorial as well per uh, orders from the executive branch there. Yeah. Didn't think anybody would take the time to put these little short flags like this at half staff. That's kind of cool. All right, so I drove in, and then this is where I tuned in. I thought when I saw the logo for the, I'm sorry, the thumbnail for the show, I thought it was another one of my people I'm subscribed to got that Tesla crypto scam hack going on. But then I clicked into it and I was like, because this really is Tesla, and they're doing something, and it was this Tesla thing groundbreaking. So what I wanted to discuss after telling you all about it already was told you about the event, not so this truck here. The accessory I was talking about is this rack here. Hopefully, this is what Matthew Dunnigan Ryan was telling us about with the Tesla accessories division. The shovels, so what? But the rack is what I'm talking about here. If we could see some first party truck accessories, that would be really cool. The Cyber Shovel very well could have been them testing the brake machines. And by brake, I mean that's going to be the process by which the skin of the Cybertruck is assembled with on a press brake. So you got what's basically like a blade, a dull blade, and a flat piece of metal, and it pushes in and bends the metal at whatever angles you need. And so if they were testing that machine, that would be an easy way to make these ugly shovels. And they didn't seem terribly effective um, later on in the event. And they made no mention of the truck. They just kind of kept on going. Um, uh, Governor Abbott wheeled his way in there, and he called it the what did he call it? He called it the Giga Truck, and nobody corrected him because people are spineless against those type of politicians. And I mean, you don't have to say you're wrong, Governor. It's called the Cybertruck. You can be like, Giga Truck. That's a good one, but we called it Cybertruck. Something gentle. That way, you don't hurt his fragile ego and have him coming after you like Florida guy is doing against Disney. Um, but that's enough politics out of me. Um, I'm hoping that these first party accessories, uh, this might be one of them. It's not going to be the most aerodynamic, this one, but if those sales still open up like Elon told us they did originally, and didn't say they don't anymore, and there's a break in the sheet metal that you might be able to see there, depending on what quality I'm coming across. You can see there's a break in the sheet metal, which would allow that if these things still open, it would allow you to have kind of a covered locker. They call them the sails, and that would be fun. And if you could have the sails plus the exterior, like put some weed whackers up there, and you could have like a lawn truck or shovels, and you've got a work truck or whatever the case may be. Hopefully, electric weed whackers because that would be really messed up if they're taking an electric truck as their tow haul vehicle and then spreading more pollution than a Camry per person. What I'm talking about there is the 2 cycle weed whackers. They are worse than a 30-year-old Camry um, running for 12 hours for every 15 minutes you run the thing. I could get the exact specs, but it's close enough. So that was exciting. This just happened. Game over thumbnail. This happened earlier this week. Yeah. And let's see. So this was exciting to me, and so what it's going to do is it's going to help them get more battery grade lithium, and they continued on when they were and Elon and the executives were describing the process they were going to use. He said we're not going to go from one form to another back to the first form, and then uh, so it sounds like not necessarily that they're going for their dry processing that they were talking about, but it does sound like they are trying to do what Elon's always talking about, first principles, where they reinvent the wheel and then eventually, after just failing miserably for a long time, come out on top with a new way that's cheaper and faster. And we'll all need it as a society because everybody needs batteries, and there aren't enough of them out there yet. Let's see. But it says, always blows my mind when folks drive their dually pickup with a small trailer that has yard power tools on rails on the side. Could have towed that with a bolt, to be honest. Definitely a why. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, and that reminds me of a video I watched from my friend Kyle Connor over at Alderspec. He went to Maxwell. They are still in business, and they are doing something unique. They are, you can watch over in his video. It's about 30 minutes. It's not bad. Converting Ram ProMasters into EVs, very much like what we saw with Lightning Motors. I am a super tiny investor in Lightning Motors. I think I put $5 in way back when, and then they've been all over the place. So it might actually be less than $5 now, or maybe it went up. And see, I'm a long-term buy and hold. Unless the company does something to just really make me upset, I just kind of throw the money in there and then just forget about it till retirement time. Um, anyway, so Lightning Motors, they convert like Ford 3500. I'm sorry, Ford. Yeah, Ford Transit 3500s or so, just bigger than what the Ford E-Transit offers and up. They convert those from gliders, if the gliders are available, or from whole trucks with engines. They convert them to EVs. So Maxwell is doing that with the ProMasters, but they're not doing gliders because apparently they don't have any yet. You can either bring them a chassis or they go get a chassis. And what they're putting in them to electrify them is they're using Model 3 and Model Y, almost the whole powertrain. The only uh, parts that are retained from the Ram are the radiator and evaporator, just because they're bigger than on the Model 3 and Model Y. And the brake booster currently is still the brake booster from the Dodge, the Ram. And he went on a test drive, and that was pretty cool. He showed a camper. I can show you the camper right now. All right, so the camper is called Vanessa. Vanessa. um, but this one is, why is it not scrolling? Oh, because it thinks I want to buy one right now. They are quite pricey, very pricey. But eh. So anyway, let's just go look at what they have to offer. They have basically a ProMaster they've converted over. You can get it with CCS charging in the front, but if you don't, then the little fuel flap is J1772. If I were to go for this, I would probably try and get them to leave the Tesla 2 connector, the NACS, the NACS, and I would just get them to. I wouldn't even get them to do it. I would just get a CCS uh, Tesla adapter, or use the one from my Model X we'll have later this week, and plug it in to there if I needed to charge this thing um, at a supercharger that does have non-Tesla supercharger. You can charge it there, and it's still a Tesla underneath, so it would already know how to talk. But I imagine that violates everything from Tesla, so you'd only be able to use it at the non-Tesla superchargers. But where I would need the adapters on Electrify America and everybody else. And so I guess they have some prototypes of the Sprinter and the Ford, because why else would you put them on your page unless you're showing that you're leading ahead? Um, 200-mile range, up to, depending on how you drive it. 200 kilowatt charging because it's still a Model 3 and Model Y underneath there. Super sustainable. And all the cars that uh, I forgot to mention that the source cars they use for these things are wrecked cars. So some of them have heat pumps, some of them don't. And Maxwell succeeded in somehow not making them ugly like other companies do in that segment. Absolutely. Must be the power of commercial tax incentives for vehicles. Where did it go? And then they use that to pull their boat on the weekend. Oh, it very well could be that with those folks with the flags streaming off the back of their trucks. Yeah. Um, but Bennett, you're the one who got us on this with the talking about the Model Y because uh, Kyle's video was titled "This Van is a Model Y," and because it is. And so they've got a couple different versions from the regular van, just like a cargo van. They've got the refrigerated van that you would use for like shrimp or fish or flowers. They've got the box van. They've got the passenger van. They have their own app, and like we mentioned, they can charge at 200 kilowatt, which is nice. So you've got a couple of different choices. You got the various lengths. If you want the long range, on the ones I looked at to see deeper into what they could do, if you want the long range battery, you have to use the extended wheelbase. I don't know if that's for weight distribution or what, because um, the long range battery would definitely fit under the short range van, but it's probably difference of weight distribution and making sure that all of the components still fit. Because what you're looking at is all the RAM knobs and gauges, and when you're pushing, it's translating them into Tesla commands and pushing them into the drivetrain and HVAC. So you got short range, highway 100. Uh, uh, that's interesting. Oh, and roof height, short range. No, this table is mixed up. Anyway, they're giving you an estimate of the ranges there, and it's a Tesla motor. It's a single motor front wheel drive. I don't know what they're doing with the second motor. That'd be awesome to get a four wheel drive one. And so they have conversions. So if you already have a ProMaster, either a van life situation or a shuttle or a ProMaster based truck, like the box truck, you can bring it to them and they'll convert it over. Obviously, you just got to make sure you can be down for the length of the conversion, and then you can drive away. So the E Pro is the one we were talking about there, and then they've got the campers, which was what I was first dialed in with. That was Vanessa. That's why the page I was trying to load. They're not all going to be purple. This is just their demo unit. Somebody else had already converted the interior, and they converted the whole van. So if you get their solar option, the whole roof is solar. It's 1.4 kilowatts, and they put a nice purple wrap on it. They even made the Maxwell logo glow purple on this unit, and the solar arrays. They don't have any. They don't have like a lot of these other companies do, where you've got like a house battery and then the drivetrain is completely separate. No, they tap into the Tesla high voltage battery, and so your 1.4 kilowatts of solar while you're driving down the road is adding to the power to help drive the wheels, or if you're at a stop, they're helping to top off the battery, or if you're parked, they're slowly recharging the battery. So you can add a couple like 20 miles easily, just parking it in the sun and not going anywhere. And the other benefit to that is that your house heat pump or space heater or any of the other stuff that you would draw power with is coming from the high voltage battery pack. I think they said that they can do 30 amps, which is sufficient because that's all that the other folks do when they're on shore power. Some of them do 50, but not in this size. It's very rare to see a 50 amp in this size. And so you get the full roof is solar, and if you want the long range, you need to go with the long wheelbase. And that's what this is here. And so you can see the placement of the solar goes up top. The battery sits down low in the middle. And then you've got the motor in the front. Kyle was telling us a retelling of how they had one of the cargo trucks get into a crash, and after they made sure everybody was all right, they scavenged all the components and built themselves a new truck. The company that had the wreck. All right, so heating and cooling, you've got 17,000 BTUs of heating power and 30,000 BTUs of cooling. You get 60 amps of 120 volts, 30 amps of 240 volts, and 12-volt DCs. You get 100 amps. So that's just using the regular Tesla stuff. And that 100 amps, I think, is just the regular Tesla DC to DC converter for their itty bitty battery. That's pretty cool. So the solar is good for adding 20 miles a day, or daily energy bonus of 8.5 kilowatt hours. And that seems to jive because my house makes a couple kilowatt hours and it's got substantially more um, kilowatts. Hot water is also electric, obviously, because you're in an electric conversion. Why switch back to making that from gas like some of these other companies are doing? And so you get a 5.5 kilowatt heating element, and takes up 90% less space than a traditional water heater. Then you can build in price, and then they'll actually email you a quote. They don't, they'll ask all your information, but they don't call you up and bug you, at least over the weekend. What I would probably try and do is get one that's already done, just 'cause get rid of the hassle. Or if I could find a ProMaster at a good price, bring it to them already done up. But I would want to do. They do a dry toilet, which is kind of like the baby genie diaper bags or the space toilet. Uh, it's like a foil tube, and then when you push flush, it twists it off, and then you've got another compartment to do your business in. Uh, that works. Basically, they're trying not to put another tank under there. They've got a fresh tank and probably a gray tank. Um, what I would probably want to do is, rather than the dry toilet, I'd want to do a flame toilet, just because uh, when you go to do your business with them, any of your business, you put what looks like a wax cookie sheet in there, and then you do your business and you push flush and it goes whoop, and then it just lights it on fire. They have an electric version that runs on 240, and they have a propane version. And since there's 240 available, there you go. And then after about a month worth of usage for two people, there's a big bucket of ash that you just dump into wherever you can legally dump cold ash. And I think that would be more cost effective and environmentally friendly a um, than a dry toilet foil pouch thing that you gotta now find a dumpster to dump a bunch of human waste in. Um, yes, it's gonna make carbon from burning something, but it's very recently been uh, bioactive as a plant or an animal, and the liquids will just come off as steam, and the wax paper is gonna be less of a burden than the foil, mylar, plastic, plus the plastic bag to put all the thing in, because it's wax paper instead of all of that. Then you've also got, since it is nutrient rich, depending on what kind of garden you're running, you might be able to just dump the ash straight in your garden because it's inert at that point. Anyway, so let's go on to the next one. The cooler. Kyle showed us a quick look inside their cooler van. Not this one, but one that was used heavily, and they were hauling. I don't remember what he said they were hauling in, like a grocery or something. And on that one, when you open the door, the freezer stops, and then when you close it back, it starts up again. Uh, this could be the same van, but that one looked older. It was like the first time that the ProMaster kind of made it over stateside. That generation. So it's got all the same benefits. It runs off of the battery. Uh, it does what you expect it to do. Actually, this is the one. It was the food bank. That's what it was. It's the headache of a rooftop condenser unit. By integrating the refrigeration system with the ePro's electric drivetrain, your reefer van has fewer components to fail, better clearance, and more efficient operation. And Kyle pointed out that the owners are reporting that, because it's already a working system, the Tesla, it's not like this hodgepodge of different components that Apparently, a lot of the other ones spend a lot of time in service, even though you never hear about them. But I guess there are fewer of them to begin with. So let's see, operating is 31 to 60. Okay, so it's not a deep freezer, but it's definitely would work as a freezer. R134A, 1200 cubic feet per minute, 12 volts fan, 30 amps, up to 30 amps, I should say. Compressor is 360 volts. Go figure. Why not run it off a 400-volt battery? 10 kilowatts of compressing. Wow. At 50 degrees, you get 30,000 BTUs, and at 20 degrees, you get. Wait a minute. At 20 degrees, maybe they upgraded the capabilities. No, right here. Unless they're saying that's the exterior. No, it's 30 to 60. You would need it to work hotter than that. I can understand if it didn't work colder than that, but yet they say system at 20. I don't understand. We've got 20 and that's 30. But either way, 5,000 BTUs at 20 degrees. And then again, you can bring them on or they can do it for you. Let's look at their service. Service requires a password. So I guess that's for owners only. Or I clicked into something I shouldn't have. Or if you are an owner, maybe it'll schedule service telling you about their service. Read before beginning work. That's why it asked me for the login. So apparently they seem to have some right to repair stuff. Independent service. Certain items may be performed by Maxwell or a certified partner. Independent shop or do-it-yourselfers. I like it. Towing flatbed tow only. Tow wheels on the ground may cause severe damage to the drive system. All right, there we go. Let's see what their warranty is. This is not a Maxwell ad, and I probably should look to invest in them, but I'm not invested in them now. 3 years or 50,000 miles. And then details and disclaimers. Factory warranty. So obviously the Mopar will continue for the stuff that they didn't touch, which makes sense. It's a good policy. Okay, then the portal requires a login as well, but I guess that's if you don't want to use the app, or if you are unable to use the app because you're on a PC. We contact them and we can see what kind of jobs they have open. They're out of California for the most part. Production manager, automotive technician. There you go. If you wanted a job with them. All right, so now let's load up some of the rest. Let's see what the comments are first. That CCS adapter is marked down to 139 at RPM Tesla this weekend. I got one from the Tesla store when they showed up there, but this is cheaper. I would probably do something like that, but remember my car is legacy, so it doesn't have the control board to speak CCS, and so the adapter comes free with that board. So I'll be paying for the Tesla one. But if I want extras, like maybe keep one in the car and have one on the shelf in the garage as a spare, I could definitely do something like that. Or if you guys have a newer Tesla that already knows how to speak Powerline, which is what CCS uses, uh, Bennett says, head on over there and to RPM and get you one for 139 instead of what are they charging now, 250 at Tesla, which is still way better than what they used to charge for the CHAdeMO adapter. That really is tons of power. With the solar roof, this thing is everything someone would try to buy elsewhere, like from EcoFlow. Exactly, and you don't have extra battery modules hanging around. I mean, you could probably put extra battery modules, but and they're fully integrated. When you charge the car, your house battery is charged too because they're the same. And I think what I saw in that 30-minute video and in the interview and from their website, I'm excited. Like I said, they're not inexpensive, and but it's everything that I was thinking that I would want from something like this. Uh, the only other option than either getting something and converting it, or getting something like the e-transit and hoping I can make do with 100 miles, or getting the Mercedes and converting that over would be to get the Cybertruck and tow with that. I could totally tow with the Model X, but my experience towing with the Model X, with the battery size I've got, is it's a lot of stops. And then you do have a. That's not even the worst part, really. The worst part is of the vehicles available commercially. So if I don't build something myself, um, the Model X limits you on what you can do because you got the 5,000 pound limit, and then mine's got a 750 pound tongue weight limit because I swapped out the stock tow hitch for one that can handle um, one that doesn't break in two and hide away all pretty. So it has an extra 200 pounds of 250 pounds of tongue weight. The Tesla one is 500 and done. But it's held on by three ball bearings and it's even empty. It's just kind of I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way the load moved on it, and so I swapped it out. Well, had it swapped out because that's something you need somebody who's certified to do to get a you know, should something go wrong, you can say, "Yeah, I got it done by a certifier." Anyway, flame to split sounds reasonable. You're already taking a big van and generator off the road. Exactly. And then you're not doing any landfill anymore, or if you are doing landfill, it's a month in a large pot rather than a week in a 55-gallon trash bag. I hadn't thought about the integration convenience yet. Like one of those Model Y wall fridges instead of filling the sub trunk. Exactly, exactly. And let's see. All right, so those are the comments. Let's move on to some of the items we actually pulled up ahead of time. All right, so our first recall, and I thought it was just going to be a regular recall, and then I found out, oh no, no, no. So these are actually Mercedes EVs, so they're totally on topic. The way they came out at me, I thought it was just going to be a regular recall. I was like, all right, sometimes I do those, and sometimes I pass right by them, but I always try to get to the EV recalls or hybrids. So Mercedes-Benz is recalling 3,800 vehicles due to battery issues. Check the recalls here. So they've issued multiple recalls this week, including more than 3,800 Mercedes-Benz cars and a Tiffin motorhome recall, which involves 242 vehicles. Now, the Tiffin motorhome, I'm wondering, that's got to be gas, because the only way you have 200 of them is if you're doing a massive, massive testing campaign, and they're not. Um, and the e-transit, the Sprinter is not yet out for sale in the States, so it's not that. Those are going to be made around the corner from where I am right now. Let's see. So they ask you to check the database or their own site at USA Today recalls. Let's see, what was the deal? So 2022 to 2023 sedan recall, which they called it just sedan, but look at all these models. The EQS 53, EQS 450, EQS 450, EQS 800. Then you've got a combustion car, the Mercedes-Benz S580E, and another combustion car, the Mercedes-Benz EQ. No, that's not a combustion car. That is another EV, the Mercedes-Benz EQE 350. So those vans, I'm guessing, are the same as the Benz the S class. Not saying that they made a van out of the S class, but just saying that that whatever it is, the combustion van is probably susceptible, just like the sedan. Dealers will update the battery management system software free of charge, and notifications are expected to be mailed June 2023. What I want to do next is let's check the recall database and see if they'll tell us without a VIN. And then some other vehicles were recalled this week, the Tiffin motorhomes. Okay, so that's not necessarily related to the Mercedes at all. The condensation pan under the refrigerator may overflow and leak into the Molex electrical connections on the floor. Yeah, that's not good. Water and electricity, you want to keep them separate wherever you can, unless it's a submersible like a pump or something that was meant to be in the water. Water in the electrical connections can increase the risk of a fire or shock or electrocution. Electrocution is death, and shock is not good at any level. So that's the 2020 to 2023 Tiffin Allegro Breeze. Dealers will relocate the Molex connections free of charge, and owner notification letters are expected to be mailed June 26th. All right, so let's head on over to the NHTSA recall site. I think they gave us a link to it. Make it faster. Yep. Range. Let's go through last week. What's today? 14th. And apply. We want Mercedes. It's a search for battery. That S is a hybrid and not a straight combustion. For battery monitoring system uh, does not alert the driver of battery malfunction may increase the risk of a crash, fire, or injury. And then condensation pan may overflow, cause fire. So yeah, this is the Mercedes right here. Yep, Mercedes-Benz USA. They're recalling EQE S580E, EQS, EQS AMG EQS, and EQS 450 Plus. The high voltage battery monitoring system may not alert the driver of a battery malfunction. As such, these vehicles fail to comply with the requirements of the FMVSS, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, number 305, as electric-powered vehicles, electrolyte spillage, and electrical shock protection. The remedy is the dealers will update the battery management system software free of charge, but dealers, not over the air. Owner letters are expected to be mailed in June, and owners may contact Mercedes-Benz USA customer service at this phone number. Owners may also contact NHTSA safety hotline at this number or go to nhtsa.gov. These are all electric. So I wonder if that was just a typo on that one that just said S. Like they dropped the E somewhere. Oh well. So that's a real one, and those of you that have one, like oh man, my neighbor's got one of these. I should it's a very pretty car. You like your car? Did you get your recall done yet? Right, next up, this this author doesn't like the Nissan Ariya SUV. They claim it proves after 13 years, the Leaf, 13 years after the Leaf, the automaker can. Wait, I'm sorry. My glasses are dirty. I drove the Nissan electric Ariya. It proves that after 13 years, the automaker can compete with Tesla. All right, so obviously they just threw Tesla in the title because it gets clicks, and not everything needs to be compared to a Tesla. Like, I mean, the Ariya could be going up against the Model Y, I suppose, but they're not really the same thing. All right, so first electric vehicle since the Leaf arrived, stylish, capable, has a few tricks up its sleeve. It shows the EV trailblazer still has what it takes to compete with the best EVs out there. Okay. I was looking for some choice quotes there. Some revisionist history there. Long before Tesla became a household name. No, Tesla was out there for a while, but people couldn't afford the Roadster, so they looked at Leaf and Volt. I bought Volt. Comfy interior, good range, and straightforward controls. I do kind of like the way that they did they did the Volt style capacitive buttons everywhere, but they did it tastefully. It kind of shows through the wood grain. Still too many buttons for me these days. I don't like the interface. But I'm not here to tell you have to buy a Tesla. I'm here to say you need to electrify all the things. That's what I'm here to say, including the electric flame toilet. Oh, let's see. I mean, this was a decent one. It's Business Insider. I don't really give them too much traffic, but it's tasteful. Talk about quirks. Excuse me. Talking nice about electrics. What more could be asked for? Moving on. So this is what. Whoops! Why did you open there? Come on now. Open over here. Get with the program. Program. So this is what we opened the show with, where Bennett was telling us about. So you what? She took the remote. I don't see it. Unless she threw it away. She's big on that. Baby fell asleep, so now we don't know where the remote is. Anyway, Bennett was talking about this here. It was appearing that something is going on at the Model S and Model X land. Uh, Orders for all right-hand drive Model S and X. Some people have been waiting as long as 2 years. Have all been canceled. But then after this cancellation came out, the Model S and X plaid generation are now being delivered in Japan, and not Japan, not Japan. Other places that have a left-hand steering wheel that are not the United States are starting to receive them, and that's an interesting thing. I don't think that the website gives the option to do that. Customers can choose from can choose from inventory or buy a left-hand drive version. I don't know that you can get a left-hand drive unless that's in Japan. You can get a left-hand drive maybe there, but that just doesn't seem right. No longer making right-hand drive version of S and X. Customers that drive on the other side of the road, like UK, have had orders canceled, and potential buyers are being told to buy a different model or a car from inventory or try a left-hand drive version. This is new to me. I didn't read this version of the story. What I have heard though is that some of the folks who got canceled, they were given a discount on a Model S, Model Y, or a Model 3. And this, while being right-hand drive, is really old. Look at the interface. That's pre-version 7 right there. I got mine, it didn't have any of that, and I got it at least on 7, maybe even late 6, and all of that stuff was like already started its way to flatness instead of skeuomorphism. All right, let's see. I'm curious about that try left-hand drive quote. Tell us who drives on the right 30% of the world. Mostly UK, right? Contacted by a reader from New Zealand who ordered right-hand drive X almost 3 years ago because Tesla reached out to him yesterday to cancel his order. Tesla said, due to recent changes to the vehicle program, Model X will not be available in right-hand drive. Unfortunately, this means your order is unable to be fulfilled and will be canceled. You will receive a full refund for any payments made. We understand this may be disappointing news to receive and want to apologize for the inconvenience caused. And so the next part of that for most people was a invitation to get a inventory car, or if you buy a 3 or Y instead, they would give you a consideration for your inconvenience. Yeah, this person got one too. Tesla offered our reader a New Zealand dollar $3,200 credit towards Model 3 or Model Y, although only if they purchased that new Tesla before October. Hey, we've been stringing you along for 3 years, but you've got 4 months, 5 months to make a decision. Yeah, hurry up. Their customer service is such a mixed bag. Sometimes it's like total garbage, and other times it's like the best I've ever had. And then their after sales support is the same. Waffling between total garbage and treating you like a freaking royalty. It's like, can we get a consistent experience out of these people? Like I said, with the failure to keep up with records, I did not expect them to call me back, and they did not when the parts came in order for me. Remember when it came out and I told you that it was no longer telling me coming soon, and I went to push the button and then they accepted it and then they canceled it 2 days before? Yeah, no, we don't have parts. As we noticed in the past several times, the demand for the S and X is evaporating as the models are extremely long in the tooth. I don't believe this narrative right here. It can't be just that because they just refreshed them, and I don't think that that's what it is. They're already only making 2,000 a week of S and X, so that should be able to keep up with demand. And if you want to complain about how old the S is, the three in the Model 3 is 6 years old already now. Um, Still selling quite well. It is not considered legacy, even if you've got one that's older tech than legacy. Where is this? Unaware of the infinite clutch system. What? Infinite clutch system? What are you referring to? That seems really cool. An ASIL-D system takes the highest level of functional safety requirement defined in ISO 26262, the highest defined anywhere. Higher levels do exist in aerospace. Oh, is that how reliable it is? Yeah, I mean, there's backups upon backups all over the Tesla. Certifying mechanical systems, the equivalent of ASIL-D, which is an electronic standard, not a mechanical one, is complex and expensive. Certifying electronic ones to ASIL-D is very complex and very expensive. Add software to the mix, and you're horrifically complex and obscenely expensive. Especially to prove a system to ASIL-D, you need to enumerate every possible way in which any aspect of the thing could fail. For every one of those scenarios, you need to work down the entire fault tree to determine the likely consequences. You need to calculate the individual probabilities of each and every one of those failures and the probabilities for multiple failure scenarios combined with bigger failure and so on. What do these clutches have to do with the Model S and Model X? How do I find where that comment came from? It sounds like they somebody merged two comment threads together that shouldn't have been. Not too surprised by this. Most of the world doesn't really like the very USA-sized S and X. Yeah, the S is huge and the X is even bigger and doesn't maneuver so well in reverse. The S does do fine in reverse, but the X is like if I turn a circle and then go forward and then immediately reverse it, it does not end up where I started it. The price of the S and X is huge and has been for a while. Let's see. I know three Model Y drivers. Two of them wanted a three, but the lead times were horrendous, so they opted for Ys instead. The third always wanted a Y. Yeah, if you're in the land down under, they're getting their Model Ys from the China factory. Anyway, let's move on. I'll see what you guys have to say, then we'll move on. Tesla customer service is why I'm sticking with legacy. Oh, come on now, Eddie. As much as I have had friction with Tesla service, it's not enough to make me go back to legacy. Um, when I first got to Charleston, I went to 4 different Chevrolet dealerships before I found one that was willing to look at my Volt without this crap right here. All right, bring it into us. Leave it with us. We'll look at it. You can rent a car from us, or you can find your own ride, and then you can come pick it up. And then when we have parts, you can do it all over again. I was like, what the hell? A Honda or a Toyota or any other cars I had before, or even the Chevrolet where I bought it from. You bring it in, they read the codes, and then at that point they decide whether you need to leave the car, um, figure out alternate transportation, or if they can fix it on the spot, they have like a slot and parts. Let's go. Um, but all the others, I was like, what is this crap? The other one, the fourth one, they told me, all right, hey, we're super busy. Can you come back on Tuesday? We'll plug it in, see what's going on, and then decide where to go from there. So That's the one I ended up going with, I believe, and, brought it in, they plugged it in, they added coolant, and we went about our merry way. Coolant. The Volt coolant was, under no, this wasn't under pressure, it was under vacuum. So still low pressure, but beyond low pressure. It was just a regular car service experience. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible. I had to take out of my day and go somewhere. Although in this case, because I'm in the good old boy area right now, I need to go out of the network to go get some service. Not out of the network, but out of the state to get some service. Whereas you in California, you can just turn around, throw a rock, and then I've hit a Tesla store. Let me go get this service done. um, or if it wasn't this particular service, just like me, they would have come to you. Um, so as much as I complain about them, they are not the worst I've ever had, and they range from the best I've ever had to deep down into the bottom tiers of what I have had. Uh, they just are so inconsistent with it. Uh, you get a certain range in each service center. So like when I got to Virginia, the one that I was assigned to, they were pretty terrible, but they were working on it, and a new one opened up to help ease their load, and they got to be pretty all right by the time I left. Expensive, but all right. But when I first got there, folks were going to Maryland or down to Southern Virginia to get their service done just to avoid this place. So, yeah, so there we go. Comment came in. Took hours to buy my Volt. They didn't know about it, but it was listed online. Hadn't gone through the intake yet. Bought it, but couldn't take it home. Days later, picked it up with 8 mile in the battery. Yeah, exactly. Like as much as I complain about when Tesla's not being their best, uh, you don't have stuff like this on the regular. I mean, you do have it because they are still people, but and it won't be 8 miles when you pick it up, even on their worst nights, because they don't want you to bring it back. They don't want you to bring it back. Now when you buy it, they're like, "Oh yeah, just take delivery so it can count, and then it'll come back to service." That's a weird process of theirs. So we've got uh, Model S and X. We've got the Lightning. We've actually got the Lightning twice. No, we got the Lightning once. They're the same article. Loading everything up because I don't have that many articles today. Given the excitement of the week, maybe we can have a non-exciting couple months where it's just the news instead of stuff happening in my life. We'll share this tab instead. So our Ford F-150 Lightning is too fast for the drag strip. So Mortar Trend is running into what myself and several others found out. Depending on where you take the car, it's too fast for their insurance. So in his case, he just had to obtain a helmet, and in other cases, you need a roll cage, or you're not allowed on the facilities at all as a participant. Pardon me. He was writing about he was going to do a pace car experience, and instead, they had mentioned that that they had the Lightning, and the people at the track said, "Hey, you want to run down the track?" Of course, why not? And so all-wheel drive, street tires, same experience as me. It's like, "Hey, you want to do some burnouts?" And he's like, "Why? It's all-wheel drive, the street tires." And so he did like me, drove around the little water box. Not to mention that it's kind of hard to do a rear-wheel drive burnout because there's no provision for that in the software on the consumer side. Launched it, got yelled at the end for being too fast. Had to find the helmet guy, and then had them some fun. Got laughed at for hitting the brakes at the end because they didn't find the helmet on that second run. I thought it was cute. All right, so then Bazinga is writing about Redway batteries. And before we get into Redway batteries, Bennett's talking about. Let's see what Lee was talking about. Uh, Lee said, "Feeling that delivery process." Yeah, I love my Tesla deliveries. Well, the Tesla delivery, the Ford Tesla delivery was the same as any other used car. It was all the rigmarole, but it was pretty straightforward because I knew more about the car than they did, and they weren't trying to sell me on it. So it was as fast and simple as it could be, given a typical dealership system. Um, but the Tesla delivery, man, I ordered it on online. I don't know if I did it on my phone or on the PC back then. I think it was PC because I needed to get the special code to get my high amperage charger. Because again, my Model X charges at 17 kilowatts instead of whatever 48 amps that you guys get nowadays. Um, Lee's car was delivered with a. Oh yeah, Lee, I remember yours. It was delivered with a dent and a ticket, and you hadn't found out until months later. So this was a fun one. Um, I'm not sure if the dent was a case where you saw it and they told you to come get it later, but the ticket. Well, they were bringing the car to our house, or it was on the back of a tow truck going to the store where she picked it up. I'm not sure exactly if she had a home delivery or not. And the people who were delivering the car got a speeding ticket, and she didn't know until later when they were trying to collect on this ticket, and she's like, "What? I didn't even have the car then. Where's the ticket from?" And come to find out, you look at the picture, and it's the Tesla employees. You see the little T on their shirt, and definitely not her in the picture. It's like, what's going on here? Let's see. Then it says Tesla by comparison. The hardest part of the delivery process was the credit union I picked undervaluing the car and claiming I had to put down a larger down payment. It got sorted. You're right about that. So on mine, there wasn't a problem with the value. They just wanted to make sure I picked all the options I said I did. But they took so darn long to get everything through and get the money back to Tesla and do the whole rigmarole that I lost out on my rate. It was supposed to be like nearly 0%, and it ended up being like a percent or two higher, which nowadays sounds wonderful, but back then it was substantial. It was very odd. They said, yeah, we don't see that car as worth it as worth that much. It's said it's the MSRP. Or you said it's the MSRP. What do you usually value new cars at? Exactly. The only case I had where, well, a couple cases actually, but the only real case I had where I couldn't get a new car or nearly new car done at the correct price was when Fisker went out of business after the Fisker Karma uh, took that saltwater bath at Hurricane Sandy and flooded the pier, and then they all caught fire. So after that, the remaining units, we got a notice from all of our banks saying, "Hey, don't send us any Fisker Karmas. We're not going to cover them. We're not going to pay for it. You're on your own." And then after that, the only other times I've run into these issues where the bank has an issue with the value of a new car is if the person's credit was kind of marginal and they bought all of the accessories and they bought them at whatever the price, not necessarily my dealership, but sometimes it was another dealership we bought the car from and just had all this extra crap on it. And so if there was just too much accessories, sometimes that would push the car out of spec. But you don't get that with Tesla because they don't have anybody looking to put all this stuff on it. And if it was the case of autopilot costing 15 grand, that's still on the sticker and it's still the manufacturer's price. And that is a very valuable option. People buy it. Um, It's not like you got some underbody coating and some wheel well sound deadening and low jack. It was real talk, real stuff. Yeah, I looked out on mine showing up pristine, wiped some buffing compound on the seats, and the interior trim was fine after that. So mine, the driver's side mirror cap was not correctly connected. I didn't realize that until um, I got home and then managed to fix that myself. The small seat in the middle row has never been good in the cold. It squeaks. I've got a video where it's in there. You can hear it if you wanted to. It needed a new passenger side window, but again, Tesla sucks at paperwork, and I misplaced the paper. So when I find the paper, I'm still going to take it to Tesla. Get my passenger side rear window. You owe me this. Why did it take so long? Because you lost the papers. I finally found them. Uh, um, okay, Lee says they dropped it off at her house with a dent. Yeah, the credit union was about to tank the whole thing, make up those, made us lose the VIN assigned and push the financing where the rate would expire and the Fed hike would raise. Oh man, I've seen this a couple times. Like Omar and Stephanie, you've seen them on the show. Um, both of their cars got reassigned because Tesla decided, oh, we're going to deliver your car while you're out of town. Like, no warning. Oh, you're out of town? Oh, you'll be back next week? No, no, that's not enough for us. We're selling your car to somebody else. Good luck. And not the same as if they'd canceled or tried to push it back after Tesla said no more pushing back. Um, but just the way that they tried to Elon said they're going to stop this end of the quarter push stuff many times, and they're addicted to it. They just can't stop. They can stop, but they choose not to. But then they made it work out. Yeah, that's how mine was too. Eventually, it all came through. FSD would have gone from 12 to greater than 15,000 if you lost the VIN too. Yikes! Yeah. Mine. I bought mine when it was only going up, and then for like 3 months after I bought mine, it dropped by over $3,000 from what we paid for FSD. Um, one of our friends was able to get it for 3,500 all out for FSD, and I paid substantially more than that. But now it's double what I paid for, so I don't feel out of it anymore. But I was salty, and then they made me salty by calling my car Legacy when when there's older Model 3s that get to do what mine can't, and when it's just lame software excuses like the fact that I can't view my Sentry mode remotely because I don't have an interior camera, or whatever their excuse is, when a 2017 Model 3 can do all of that. Um, we have the same modems, same MCUs, except there's liquid cooled. And I only need to see the exterior cameras. You just put a big X on the interior camera. I don't care. I get not being able to make the speaker sounds because I don't have a speaker, but that 17 Model 3 also doesn't have the speaker and it doesn't make the sounds. Anyway, so the article on Bazinga here is about Redway battery. They've unveiled a 24-volt lithium iron phosphate battery at unbeatable rock bottom prices as lithium prices have plummeted. And 24 volts tells me that we're looking at home storage and trucks, because everything else here in the States is 12 volts. Let's see if they say anything about it. I didn't realize it was 24 volts when I loaded the article into my notes. Yep, it's home storage. All right, so they're versatile, excel in a wide range of applications, including solar energy, electric vehicles, and marine and RV applications, and off-grid solutions. They offer high energy density, exceptional cycle life, and yeah, there we go. Good stuff. Now it's flashing for some reason, but that reminds me. I talked about all the problems I had with the air conditioners. I didn't tell you guys that I got the EcoFlow smart panel installed. So, like I said, the AC wasn't acting nice. We got 10 circuits moved over, and 2 of them were the air conditioner. And one of them was giving us an out of phase error. It was the the kitchen GFI, there's a couple GFIs in the kitchen, but one of them was throwing a out of phase error. So we moved it a slot in the panel. We, mean me and the electrician, moved a slot in the panel, and the error went away. As long as the air conditioner was turned off or completely bypassed. Uh, but then we found out that news later in that day about the system being useless anyway. So right now we're running on the Delta Pros and solar, um, and grid, but the solar on the house is feeding into the internal panel, just feeding into the batteries, and then they can take DC power straight from their own solar panels, and then meter that out even further, which would be kind of cool because then when I deploy those suitcase panels, it will either reduce what I am pulling from the grid, or it will increase what the AC panels are putting back into the grid, which is cool. And the whole house can run for hours without power, which is nice. Uh, when the AC wasn't freaking the system out, um, I don't know what changed in the AC to make it freak out, but probably when it was dying. Uh, it had too many locked rotor cranking apps, so it tried to start the compressor and then it couldn't. So if we were staying with this system, I would then purchase a soft start and put that on there, and then even our air conditioner would work in a power outage. But the heat pump is going to need it's going to need a 40 amp for the compressor and a 20 amp for the air handler. So at 50 amps, that's too much for the Delta Pro system at 30 amps. That's a 48-volt battery system, and very similar to the EcoFlow power kits that Bennett and I were talking about in the show for the vans. And they're just a little bigger and bulkier, not really made for fitting in a van, but you could do it. I've seen people do it. Uh, I need to change the programming on it real quick. Not during the show, but they paid me a bonus for solar delivered to the grid, and then they do net metering on stuff I draw back from the grid at night. So what I need to do is run on battery during the day, whether it's DC solar or not, and then recharge the batteries at night from the grid, so I get the full surplus. See, this is what we were talking about with some of the folks complaining about some of the incentives. They do incentivize you to do the wrong thing. Um, yes, I'll be stabilizing the grid, and that the plants running at night will be up, but there's no time of use plan available with solar on the plan that I'm on. So it's not like I'm taking advantage of the cheap free power at night anyway. But what I should be doing for what's best for everyone is if I self-consume as it's coming in the solar panels, and then push out the extra, and then at night run on batteries. But that's not the way the incentives are set up. It's set up that I get the extra for giving it to the grid, and I just pay regular price for pulling it back. And they wind it back from my credit. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm set it up to run on battery during the day, charge at night, and then of course whatever comes into their own solar panels feed that into the system as well, and then recharge what's left from the grid at night. That is so perverse. But the AC caused us to have a $3 power bill last month. Yes, I know, a whole $3. First world problems, yes, but after February, the way the system is set up, it should be making positive power bill, or sorry, a negative power bill from March until January or December, depending on temperatures. I'm curious how that will change with the heat pump, but I guess we'll find out. And so that was my first clue that something was going wrong. That the power bill was wrong. Anyway, let's get back on track. Bennett says, switched my power over to a We Promise You're Buying solar plan from the electric company here in Jacksonville. Now that I realize that's a thing. Oh yeah, I had when I was in an apartment, I had this, and also when we first um, got here, it was still on. I had a company that was buying wind credits, and so they would put half of my power bill into the grid as wind credits, and then they would pay my power bill, and I would pay them. And but I could still access the power bill. Like they were just getting an email copy of my power bill, so I could still see that they weren't screwing me over. And they probably would have kept up for a while, except that when I got here, we put the extra panels on the house because it already had solar. We put the extra panels on the house, and that's when it all fell apart. Because without the extra panels, we still had a power bill, and so we just put in half of that as wind. But then when we got the solar expanded so that it would cover the volt, which it does not cover either Tesla, the Model S we had previously, or the Model X that we have now. Um, I guess it does if we're having negative power bills most of the year, but not in the same way that it did with the volt. Um, anyway, once we started getting those negative power bills, it fell apart. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna cancel you. We can't match this." So I'm like, hey, "Why not match my solar with some wind?" But it's a pretty cool programs. Odd that it's more expensive on average compared to prices over the past year, but the fuel costs section is at least fixed 7.5 cents instead of the market rates for gas. Oh, I like that. Month to month, the fuel costs prices are gone. That's a good for peace of mind as well, not just knowing that you're doing the right thing, but also allowing them to kind of stabilize their fuel purchases for you. They also won't let me do balance billing, so like I could have my $2 a month on average electric bill because when you add the two wintertime bills up, it comes out. This power company was telling me $2 to $3 a month for the year. They won't do balance billing with that. All right, so I need to switch tabs. All right, so this source, I've got two articles from, and when I was reading them and trying to find to make them our quality, I can't. I can't make them our quality. So what we might do is go on a little adventure together. So scientists just made a huge breakthrough in lithium-ion battery recycling, and it could transform our power grid forever. And then there's no details whatsoever in the article. I checked twice. Um, they do have a link to a paper. I'm hoping that that's linked straight to the paper so we can see what actually happened here. Um, Here we go. What the heck? So here's where it links to the link to the paper. This is the same one we started the show with. The same one that I was like, "Hey, why are they back in the news?" They were back in the news again on this cycle. So never mind on that. Let's see if the paper is there. See if they're talking about two things. Here we go. In a paper written for the IEEE. No, it's not a breakthrough at all. Intelligent power electronics system for secondary use batteries. I mean, there may be some technological improvements here, but it's not. People have been using like from the time that the Leaf and the Volt hit the ground. We already had grid batteries from their factory takeoffs. So no. So they are literally talking about that Oak Ridge facility. Sorry, guys. And then they've got another. Well, let's just switch to their other one now, so I can be disappointed in them and be done with it. So here's their other article for the day. Who are these people? The Cool Down. This company invented a wild new way to keep swimming pools heated for cheap. It's all thanks to these digital boilers. And then I looked, and so we got London Company Deep Green, and nothing else to tell us about what the heck these digital boilers are or how they work. Just that somehow they are able to heat swimming pools cheaper, and less environmentally impactful than traditional pool heaters. Um, so let's see if this takes us where we need to go. It takes us to the BBC. Ah, see, they could have said this. Digital boiler is not what they described. It's a data center using the public pool as a heat sink, which is a good idea, but you could have said that in the article. The heat generated by a washing machine-sized data center is being used to heat a Devon public swimming pool. And yeah, that is smart. So to not waste the heat, just put it to work. But wow, I'm guessing they use a heat exchanger because you don't want to leak chlorinated water or worse, water that people have been making people soup in um, through your machinery. So that is smart. I'd like to do something like this at my home. I'm speaking with the 2-Bit Da Vinci crew on that. They're coming out with a video about a home thermal energy network. So, like, you've got your refrigerator and your air conditioner half of the year dumping excess heat out into the environment. Well, why don't they dump it into something that needs it, like the heat pump in your dryer or the heat pump in your well, that's it really. Or make your oven a heat pump and dump it in the oven. And then in the wintertime, just use that same compressor. Like, in fact, if you have this network of just like of a low pressure and a high pressure loop, and then your systems that need cool can tap into the cold line. Your systems that need heat tap into the heat line, and then just recirculate. And I think that would be really cool. And somebody's got to have it, but not at the home scale yet. Yeah, exactly. Linus tried this as well. I don't know if he ever did finish it, the LTT pool heating project, but finished in on a public scale. Yeah. On the prompt, why are they back in the news? Nikola is switching production focus from EV trucks to what? What? Seriously? Bennett says that Nikola is switching back away from the Nikola Tre EV to their hydrogen trucks because they claim no demand. And yeah, I would agree with you, Bennett. Yeah, no demand for your brand. Nikola really did shoot themselves in the foot when they were lying to the public, saying that the car or the truck was driving, but it was really rolling down a mountain. They did it to themselves. Running automotive businesses is hard. All right, so let's go on to the next thing. So this one I thought was going another way when I pulled it up, and I was like, "Oh, that's just for me. That's not for the show." Actually, it is for the show. This massive autonomous robot is 3 to 5 times faster than a human construction crew. So I was thinking it was another 3D house neighborhood printing project. No, this one is a robotic pile driving machine or pile drilling machine, and it's drilling the pilings for massive solar farms. Um, you have the argument that yeah, this land could do something else than be a solar farm. However, we talked about the agrovoltaics, where the solar farm shares the land with a um, either a feedstock field, like where the animals are grazing, or for heat or sunlight sensitive plants like strawberries and other plants that actually want partial shade. And if you're just in a wide open field with no trees anywhere around, you can grow more because you've now created your own shade and you get the power from the solar panels. And so that's one good reason for having a large solar farm like that on a farm. The other is if you don't have enough suitable rooftops in your municipality or region to put them all as rooftop solar. And like I was talking with my electrician, and he said that I don't know if it was that he doesn't want to put anything on his roof or if his roof can't support it. He was much more comfortable doing a ground mount, and so he could put it like in his backyard and be fine. But like we were looking at one of these prefab houses situations where the roof just wasn't strong enough to take any solar, so they put it on the ground as well. But this is pretty cool to me. 3 times, 5 times faster, and it's cheaper because they don't have to pay anybody. And I imagine that they're probably more accurate as far as like every time hitting the mark, assuming it was done well. This will take people out of harm's way, reducing noise, exposure, strain, and struck by and pinch hazards. Yeah, 'cause it's not going to do it differently on the third hole of the day or the 50th hole of the day. It's just going to do it the same way every time. And it's always going to have proper form. Let's take a quick look at this thing drilling a hole.
We've developed the
Closed captions. Robotic pile driving. Just kind of hammers it in there. Yeah, that's much better than 2 or 3 guys whacking a pole, or uh, one guy with a machine and 2 guys helping the pole stay straight and making sure the guy's in good form. Look at that.
I think the most.
No, not mute and unmute. Pause. Pause. All right. So that's coming from Freethink, and then they've got then it got into the stuff I was thinking about, like the driverless construction, that sort of thing is more along the lines of home and factory construction, like I thought we were getting into when I was about to pass the article by. Hey Dan, good to see you. Dan said he's got us on audio, which is fine. You all know what I look like. So there's a link to that article that we were just talking about with Freethink. Then let's go on over to Electrify America. I have not read this article. The title captivated me. I saved it and then didn't read it. Electrify America's CEO-elect tested its EV chargers on a cross-country road trip. Here's how it went. And the whole premise right there from what we've been hearing from Electrify America lately, and the people with good experiences, the people with not so good experiences, and the people with mixed experiences. I wanted to see how it went for the guy who's going to be running the company in a minute. Let's see. Robert Baruza, VP of Technology, will become president and CEO on June 1st. From March 31st to April 6th, he traveled 2,800 miles in a Hyundai Ioniq 5. He drove from Los Angeles to Electrify America's HQ in Reston, Virginia, and stopped at 28 Electrify America stations in 13 states. He made a video and sent it over today. I have to admit, it was a wee bit skeptical about how his journey would be portrayed. Would it show the not so good with the good? It did, and that makes the video useful. And they sent it to on the Electrify America site, so we can preview that without, except for maybe the music, without fear. Let's see. He had days where charging the Ioniq was problem-free. He also had days where the charging stations were out of order or simply weren't fast enough. In West City, Ohio, the EV charger was down because the application crashed. That's one we most often hear from people trying to use this network. Because the application crashed, so he had to phone the call center, and they were able to reset it, which also takes time. Yeah, so this is good, because if he's about to run the company and he knows that their stuff is dog poo, then he can make it better. Especially if he comes back later and cross-checks on like some sort of like undercover job sort of thing. Let's see. He chatted with other owners. He admitted on camera that there are still issues for the industry. The industry, you mean you? For you. Your largest competitor is 97% effective. And doesn't have screens to reset. He said in the video the goal is for the customers to successfully charge on the first try. Mind-blowing. Well, yes, we EV drivers want to show up at chargers and not feel anxiety about whether they're going to work. Exactly. Let's see. Top comment is, I read about your problems with charging in the US, and it reminds me of France in 2019, when every road trip with my Hyundai Kona was a nightmare. And 3 years later, since I've added a Chinese-made Model Y to my garage, it's measurably improved with anonymity fast charging almost every auto service area, and the Tesla network on top of that. Yeah, that's pretty cool right there, because you get to choose because you'll have one plug. And I'm not saying that the CCS is the way to go. I'm just saying that the idea of having one plug is the way to go. And measurably improved without any fast charging, and Tesla on top of that. Greatly helps that we have a common charge port for Tesla and everything else. Range anxiety simply isn't an issue here anymore. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to watch that video. So I'm going to watch this video by myself later, and we'll give you guys the link to the article so you can watch it as well. So what I'm going to do is click that button to get a new window. We talked about deep green and the digital swimming pools. Quite literally digital, because it's coming from a data center. I'm going to reuse that data center article. All right, that's all I have this week. I want to thank all of our channel members and patrons for your financial support. I want to thank all of you for taking your time to watch, and I will catch you on the flip side. And let's see, I'll thank everybody in chat today. We have Bennett and Eddie and Lee, and I saw Anders. There's Anders, and let's see, Eddie, and that's everybody who's chatting live with us today. Who's jumping? Why are you jumping? I saw another comment come in. Okay, so Ben is waving, and Timothy's there. Yay! Greetings from Arizona. Good to see you, Timothy. And we will catch you all on the next one.